Welcome to another edition of We Are the Watchmen Weekly Live. I'm R.C. Williams.
And I'm Julianna Ormond.
We are publishers of the We Are the Watchmen weekly newsletters and co-founders of Watchmen Action, our nonprofit ministry dedicated to equipping the church to engage the culture and empowering advocates to deal with the issues that matter to them most. Julianna, it has been an amazing week.
Yes, it has.
Wow, it has been active and busy. By the way, a couple of housekeeping notes. Make sure to read, share, and subscribe. If you go to wearethewatchmen.org, you can subscribe to the newsletter there. If you are on one of our social media platforms or YouTube or Rumble, hit the like button and make sure to share it with everybody you know. Here's the reason why. The more often that you do that, the more people know about us, the algorithms, those weird computer things. They say, oh, people are interested in this, comment on it as well. People are interested, and then they move us to the top. Our goal is to get on the recommended page for all of these platforms so that we can reach more people with the good news. Okay, that part's out of the way. Wow.
The intro.
The intro.
The intro.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
No.
What am I introing?
No, that was the intro, what you just did.
Oh, okay.
Are you going to cut that part out?
Yeah, I'll cut that part out. All right, so
you want to start over again?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
So we'll pick back up, and then we'll just go into it's a busy week. And
okay.
Yeah, okay. Coming down. 3, 2, 1. Julianna's been a busy week.
It sure has.
Amazing, or as we jokingly say around the office, slow news day.
Oh, every day is a slow news day.
Yeah, so right. So for this week, we thought it'd be a great idea, given the climate of everything, to talk about Trump's speech this past Tuesday night. He addressed a joint session of Congress and in turn the entire nation. You know, we do the Culture Crossroads with Andrew Southwick, and on tomorrow night's show, we're actually going to discuss this as something that is relevant to the ecclesia. Was the mood and the tone, Julianna, not just of Trump, but the Democrats in Congress, right?
It was like they were children.
Very strange.
It was very like not appropriate, not American, not Christian, not spiritual, not wholesome. I mean, when you can't even stand for, a child, that what he's been through, or the other cases, like, it just seems so disheartening. And I think that people were really starting to see what's behind the veil.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about demonic possession. Andrew usually makes a good point on this. He says, we're to love people. Everybody is made in God, the Father's image, and Yeshua died for them. And it does not mean that demonic possession is not real. And seeing some of the behavior of the Democrats on Tuesday night, you talked about it, the young man who has terminal brain and spine cancer, Trump made him a deputy Secret Service agent. I mean, this is a nonpartisan issue, right? This isn't politics or whatever. It's amazing to me that something that is so pure and such a great story and an exciting moment for this young man and his family, you've got Democrats sitting on their hands. They can't bring themselves to clap or to be excited for a young man who is terminally ill. Like, with this great thing happening and the whole world watching, that's how we act. Laken Riley, the young lady in Georgia who was killed by an illegal alien. Laken Riley Act, Trump mentions it. Democrats don't clap.
What's with the paddles that they had?
So they had the different words on them. I guess that this was timed by some miscreants in the Democrat part of the House and the Senate, is that every time Trump said something, they were going to raise it. I guess they said like Medicaid or like pay your taxes or whatever. These signs were supposed to be a form of protest.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
complete waste of time.
So Amani and I just interviewed Elizabeth, and I mean, I asked her what was Europe's perception of America, and the first thing out of her mouth was, they hate you. I mean, what a strong thing for someone to say. They hate you. They hate everything you guys stand on. They hate Trump. They hate JD Vance. And it's like, wow.
Elizabeth Wolf, her story's amazing. She's in the States right now because she went to CPAC and stuff like that. From a perspective of a foreigner, I've always said, if you want to know the temperature of America, ask someone who fought to get here.
That's right.
And for her to come out and just tell you and Amanya both they hate you,
Yep.
right? To think that you have that much demonic possession in and around you that you can hate the place that gave you the opportunity to have that level of hate is nothing short of amazing to me. But it shouldn't be.
Yep.
Biblically speaking, right? If we're thinking scripturally, what do demons do? What does Satan do? Kill, steal, and destroy. So, right, he's going to burn it down anyway because we know where he's going. We know where his minions are going. It would only make sense, I guess, that these people could hate and want to see the destruction of the country because there's demonic possession there. They're surrounded by this evil. And we don't have to go all the way down the rabbit hole of Washington, D.C. as a city, but it in and of itself is demonic and has this cloud, this weird kind of pull on it. Very
Masonic?
Very Masonic and lots of symbolism. That's what I was thinking about. There's lots of symbolism that is inherently dangerous because it goes back to the core of the commandments, no false idols. And what do you have? That's a story. If you go on your own and you search for Washington, D.C. and what it really is and what it means, you'll go down a rabbit hole that you need to go down, but just understand that it will test you on your core biblically, which it should. And it's going to make you question a lot of things, which you also should.
Right.
Yeah. So,
did you want to share the verse?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So we were talking about the demon possession. The verse that comes up here is 1 Timothy 4. We work from the Geneva Bible, which most people should. So here is 1 Timothy 4, verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh evidently that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith and shall give heed unto spirits of error and doctrines of devils. So here we are in the latter days, and this ties to Matthew 24, Matthew 31, and Matthew 42, where Yeshua was warning, hey, people want their ears tickled. Many are going to fall away from the faith.
Right.
They're going to take these signs and wonders as real, doctrines of devils, synagogue of Satan, the whole thing. Right?
It's interesting because we've become a cultural Christian country, right?
Right.
We're not really Christians. We're just cultural Christians.
Right.
Same thing with like Muslims. Like there's a lot of Muslims that are good people and they're really cultural Muslims. They're not, adhering to the Quran Muslims. Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you take that verse right there, and this gets tied in the Bible in multiple places where we're warned about this, getting your ear tickled and what happens when people fall for that and the doctrines of demons. And there we are watching Tuesday night in Congress, we're watching this happen. And if you look at the faces of some of those people, they're just like, you can tell.
They have so much evil in their heart.
Yeah. It's ooh.
All right.
So Juliana, you actually had some great notes from it. Let's go through those and update everybody. So
with my degree being in forensic psychology, it's like I want to know what he's thinking and what he's saying and what he's not saying that we need to be talking about. So I'm just going to go through the list of, the points that I really wanted to highlight. So he said that he was doing a federal freeze on federal hiring, foreign aid, and federal regulations. So I was excited about that.
Right.
He terminated the Green New Deal. He got us out of the Paris Accord.
Right.
So here's when I start going, So he withdrew us from the WHO, but then the money just got redirected to Gavi, which is owned by Bill Gates.
Right. Or vaccines. So you went from the world telling you vaccines to the private vaccine pimp.
So, I mean, and Bill Gates, isn't he like the biggest funder of the WHO?
Yes, he is.
So does it matter? Is it just optics? Is it just propaganda? It's like, oh, I took this out of the WHO. Oh, but I didn't bother to tell anybody. In my speech, he did not say, oh, and I redirected all the funding to go to Gavi. Oh, and Gavi's owned by Bill Gates. Like that never came out of his mouth. And that's really important.
Didn't the Apostle Paul tell us to test the spirits? This is a great example of that, right?
Oh, yeah. Huh?
Test the spirits. Right? You need to think about that for a second, what Juliana just said. Test the spirits, right? And ask Father what's going on there. Sorry.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you for making that point. And he withdrew us for the UN Human Rights Council. I was like, all right, well, that's kind of good. Okay. Or is it just optics? He eliminated the electric vehicle mandate by Biden. Awesome. He said that one new regulation equals 10 old regulations needs to be taken away with, which is what he did the first time in office, which I absolutely love. He eliminated the government censorship and DEI. So he said that he's eliminated the government censorship. But you're going, did you actually do anything about the Smith-Bunce Act? He talked about needing to have national energy emergency, so becoming energy independent.
Right.
He said that there's only two sexes, one man, one woman, and I'm literally sitting here going, I cannot believe that we have to have a president.
Yeah, good, I think. But they were booing him. That
was the left booing him.
Yeah, again, 1 Timothy 4:1.
So these people are okay with chemically castrating a child.
So this goes back, we've covered Biden, like we covered his National Day of Transgender, which is not a thing, visibility, and how he made a proclamation of it, right? And the question we brought up is, he said that these people needed to be affirmed, and our response was, well, wait a minute, the Father's already affirmed them. They don't need any of that's the ultimate affirmation.
Top of which we're not supposed to be affirming sin.
Correct. Which good, that was the thing about sinners in the church versus sin in the church, and what quote unquote Bishop Bud did at St. John's Cathedral last month, right? Please continue, please.
He talked about ending waste of taxpayer dollars. Of course, he was all excited about Doge. So far, so good. But I keep telling people that I believe that Trump is tearing down the United States of America Corporation. I actually had to write this out. I just wanted to make sure that I had my thoughts completely straight. Okay. That he is tearing down the United States of America Corporation because the Act of 1871 made us a corporation from a constitutional republic. And now he can either bring in the globalist agenda. Okay. He's got globalists all around him, right? Or he can bring in the we the people's agenda. It is up to us to make our own desires known and move this government in the direction we choose. Not theirs, not Donald, not anybody in public, but we the people.
Julianna, can we stop a second just quickly on this? Because you bring up something really important about the direction that President Trump is being pulled in. And the term the golden age. As a believer, you're watching this and you read our stuff because you're a believer that Yeshua HaMashiach is your savior and Father is your Father, right? Or you wouldn't be watching this. So we can talk scripture and we can talk openly about this without an issue. Think about the term golden age and how this keeps getting talked about and how we're ushering in this golden age. That's Gnosticism. That is man trying to be God. Just keep that in mind because, and we've said this before in the publication, and we've said it on the show, we've said it on other shows. Better chance than not, Donald Trump isn't saved. He hasn't said the words. And in his past interviews, he feels like he has nothing to repent for. Okay. What does that tell you? Unless you say the words and you admit that you're a sinner, you cannot be saved. Just being real, we call balls and strikes here.
That's it.
Right? He needs to be corrected and rebuked for the use of the term golden age, and so does everybody else. Okay, just being real with you guys. Sorry, Julia, I
guess you're upset.
Yeah.
Them said nothing until they booed Elon.
Expected, right?
So Trump went through, and I did not itemize all of them, but he went through all the different monies and where they were going and what they were doing with the monies. Every believing person, I don't care if you're Jewish, if you're Christian, if you're Catholic, even if you're Muslim, I don't care. Nobody would have been okay with what was going on. Nobody. I'm sorry. You can't believe in the Father and allow the monies that were going out to things that this needs to stop. Anyway, so he talked about all the different things that they eliminated. The estimate is $500 billion in fraud.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, when the patients are running the assignment, that's what you get. Parable of the talents, hard at work, huh?
Right. He talked about the fraud in the Social Security Administration. Millions of people, over 100.
Right.
They were paying all that money out. He talked about balancing the federal budget. I wonder what that's going to look like.
Wow.
Is he going to open up the closed books too?
Oh, are we going to get FASB 56 removed?
So, okay, so he didn't talk about FASB 56, right? Didn't bring up that, we've got a, whole set of books that nobody can see. So how do you think that's going to come about?
I am interested to see how we get there. This controlled demolition idea of the economy and kind of resetting things. I mean, there's so much stuff in the air. It's going to be very interesting to see how he does it. The quickest way to do it would be to get rid of that second set of books, which Catherine Austin Fitts talks about FASB 56, which basically allows the US government to keep two sets of books, and the 21 trillion that you're missing, if FASB 56 was removed, it would show right back up and you'd have a balanced budget. Everything would be in balance, the debt would be gone. But that money has been pilfered over years and basically sucked out of the US, as Catherine Austin Fitts tells it when she was in a meeting with the wealthy back in the 90s. They said, Catherine, it's over. The United States has fallen. It's done. We're going to suck out as much as we can.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, so the old structure is coming down and a new structure is being built. And Trump is the person standing in the middle, making sure that, all of this happens. And again, the globalists are in one ear. We need to be in the other ear. Okay. So, and now he's got other countries coming in. So he was talking about the gold card. It's $5 million to buy into America. So if you're a company or whatever, and you want to be able to buy in, starting rate, $5 million.
Yeah. If you're a wealthy foreigner and you want to get resident status, you can just pay $5 million. So now the U.S. has its own path to citizenship by investment, basically. And that's another way that Trump's going to try to eliminate budget deficit.
My concern is you've got wealthy people from other countries coming in and dictating what's going to happen here.
I mean, he looks at it as an easy way. People want residency or a green card in America. You meet the financial requirement, you can afford it. There you go, buddy.
But shouldn't there be more than just a financial requirement? Like, I'm just sitting here going, when you bring in, people with all those monies and whatnot, yeah, it's great for America to get some investment and whatnot. But I mean, they can take over the culture. They can start swaying things politically speaking.
So you have to, I think that the devil, so to speak, is in the details on that. What requirements? Because most countries that offer citizenship by investment make you go through a bunch of hurdles. They check your criminal record and they say, here are all the things you can and can't do with this. Who knows exactly how Trump is going to structure this, but I would think there'd have to be some lever in there so we don't get what you're talking about. But if not, we got a bigger problem.
I just don't think that the people's voices are being heard that the way they need to. And every time you do something like that, you're stacking the deck against us, we the people, and what we want to have happen.
That is true.
He's going to bring in different companies. He was talking about bringing in one from, I'll go over in a minute, but anyway, we didn't say we want this. That's the whole point. Anyway, he said, if I remember correctly, he said April 2nd, he was going to start the reciprocal tariffs or whatever, right? Okay. He said no more subsidies to Mexico or Canada. Or he said that so much investment is going to happen. It's 1.7 trillion. SoftBank is bringing in 200 billion investment, with Oracle, Larry Ellison's bringing 500 billion. Apple's bringing in 500 billion, Mr. Tim Cook. And then there's a semiconductor company that wants to come in, and they're going to be doing chips in the United States because this company that builds these semiconductors out of Taiwan basically owns 97% of the market, and they're going to bring in 165 billion to the US.
When you hear the name Larry Ellison, just remember that was the same guy in the White House talking about Stargate and how you'd be a good digital citizen once they had control of you. Just put that out there.
Unpack that for a moment for those that don't know what that is all about.
Yeah, so Larry Ellison's belief, this is the founder of Oracle. He, along with Sam Altman, who is the founder or co-founder of OpenAI, ChatGPT, Trump brought them in not too long after he got inaugurated and said, hey, we're going to do the Stargate program to help with vaccines and everything like that. And basically what Larry Ellison has said is that when you have something like that and you've got a surveillance apparatus, then everybody is incentivized to be a good citizen. That's a police state, just so you're aware. But then again, Larry Ellison is a transhumanist because he wants to live forever, because he knows if he doesn't, he knows where he's going. Just a tip from the biblical perspective. All of these people who want long life or want to live forever, the reason they want to do that, one, they want to be God. And two, they prove to you that what you believe is real, even though they'll tell you to your face it isn't. They know what happens when they leave this plane because of what they've done. And they don't want to do that because it's hot down there. So, of course, you're going to try to live forever. You're going to be a transhumanist and you want to control everybody. Or you want to limit it to those who you can control, which means all those people got to go somewhere. Kind of like if you give them a bomb in the form of a jab and then they start dying off years later, no way to connect it.
What type of companies are they, Oracle?
Oracle is a really crappy enterprise big business software company that builds stuff that's garbage. ChatGPT is obviously what it is. It's your AI friend there. The semiconductor company is pretty straightforward. You mentioned Masayoshi Son. Masayoshi Son has a career history of doing really outlandish things, although it's made him a ton of money. It's also lost him a ton of money. He was famously the guy that put billions into WeWork and gave a crackhead basically a room full of cracks. He is a crackhead, and then Adam Newman is a crackhead. They basically stole everybody's money. So Masayoshi Son obviously wants to be part of things here, but you have to wonder, with those big investment numbers, there's got to be something in return. We know what Larry Ellison wants. We know what Tim Cook wants. Control. Right?
So if we're to say RC and I officially live in a wannabe to be a 15-minute city, right? That is the control. Trump said, we're not doing the central banking digital currency, the CBDC, right? But now he's doing XRP, which is basically no different because it's still centralized control. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm starting to really choke. Like, you want to talk about control? I'm feeling this noose around my neck because I know the next thing they're doing is we're going to have the driverless cars. Everything's going to be electric. Your money's going to be electric, and we're going to be able to tell you what to do with it and how to do it.
It's this way to get rid of a ton of debt. Go to a centralized digital currency overnight and you wipe it all away. It's like it never happened.
So for those of us who understand parallel economies and having different currencies, we talk about gold back a lot. It allows you to have gold in different types of currencies so that when everything goes crazy, you've got something physical in your hand, whether it's a Rolex watch, bullets, gold backs, because when things start to happen, you need to have your backup.
Yeah. And we've talked about this on Close of Business, like our other shows. All the gold's coming back into the U.S. for an audit. They're talking about auditing Fort Knox. There's really no gold there. We won't belabor that. But you have to understand, if all that gold is coming in, there is the potential that President Trump reprices gold. And if that happens, people who are holding it are going to see huge appreciation, and people who don't are basically going to get wiped out. So if you're retired, you're on a pension or whatever, and you're in the public markets, you're getting the worst deal of the worst deal. You're basically going to get wiped out. And that's the pain. Like, you keep hearing them talk about there's short-term pain coming. Our hope is that you just get punched in the face and you can kind of recover from that. Your face is going to hurt, might break a bone, instead of getting hit by a 10-ton truck and you just turned into mist, like you're just gone. We're hoping it's the former, not the latter. So,
all right. So the cartels are at the southern border. We're in the process of waging war. That's a tongue twister. 29 cartel leaders from Mexico were sent to the United States so that we can house them, put them in jail, because Mexico was like, here, you take care of them.
Oh, right?
Yeah, things are getting serious because we're, this territory that's on the line.
Oh yeah, that's serious business.
They're drug trafficking, they're sex trafficking, right? The arms trafficking is all happening through the southern border, northern too, but primarily from the southern border. all the riffraff is coming in. I keep saying, the enemy is going to be the ones that's going to pick up the guns against us, because I'm not going to pick up a gun against my fellow American. So they're importing their army. We're watching it happen. We just need to call it what it is.
Yep.
All righty. He called out Maha and was like, Kennedy, do a good job. Cash, clean up the FBI. Bundy, the attorney general, just, whatever you need to do.
Do it.
Yeah. How do you feel about Cash and Bundy? And
I think the Epstein thing was fumbled massively, and one can only hope that they get their stuff together and get it right, because anything short of full disclosure while protecting the innocent, anything short of full disclosure, people are kind of at the end of their rope, right? Because a lot of promises were made, and those promises have not been kept. As a matter of fact, they turned this Epstein binder release into a fiasco. What a travesty, right?
What a joke.
What a joke. And so people are only going to take so much of that before they've had enough. So they got to get it together. That's my hope.
They talked about vaccines and how it used to be autism was 1 in 10,000 children. Now it's 1 in 36. We need to find out what's going on with those vaccines. But Kennedy was like, hey, take your MMR. The measles is going around. I'm going to date myself now. But the Brady Bunch was like, all the kids were in the room. They all had the measles. They're like, oh, this is great. We can hang out. We're all okay. We just can't be around other people because they'll get the measles too. But, this is like kind of like a vacation. We don't have to go to school. And now it's like, take your vaccine and it could cause autism and all this other stuff. I mean,
for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. There you go.
Trump talked about a Golden Dome, a missile protector.
So it's like the modern version of Star Wars that Reagan wanted to do. Okay.
Matter of fact, he talked about Reagan and how Reagan wanted to do that. He's like, we're going to have an office of shipbuilding. He goes, I want to build lots of beautiful ships. He goes, once upon a time in history, we built beautiful ships. We need to go back to building beautiful ships. I was like, okay.
Wow. So you think about that for a minute. So of the people who were the greatest shipbuilders in World War II, this is a great story that they tell on the History Channel. Henry J. Kaiser. Now, most people recognize the Kaiser name as a healthcare system in the Western U.S. I mean, it's pretty much everything in one stop. But Kaiser ended up being a shipbuilder and built these ships. So the infrastructure, I guess, exists, but does anybody actually know how anymore?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot named for Kaiser, in particular in the San Francisco Bay Area where I'm from. The Henry J. Kaiser Convention Center, and there's some of the ports, because that's where he built the ships.
Right.
Yeah, he ended up being a prolific shipbuilder, didn't know how, and had to figure it out. They're like, the government was like, build ships.
Wealth of information right over here. Yeah. I never heard of that before. He says we need to reclaim the Panama Canal.
I think that's already done through their deal, BlackRock.
Okay. Yes, that's what he talked about. BlackRock coming. Yep. And they are buying both of the ports. He said 38,000 people died. There was my dyslexia. I was going to say 83. It's 38,000 people died. And that was it. I mean, he said a whole bunch of other things, but yeah, that was the bulk of what he was talking about.
So I think the thing with Trump, and Father uses anybody and anyone for anything that he desires to get done. Basically what happened Tuesday night is you got the Band-Aid ripped off.
Yep.
Right. And for what it's worth, Trump was saying, look here are all the things. I'm calling all of these people out right now. Here is your window. And let's be honest, Ecclesia. We probably have about 11 months, maybe a little bit more, but probably not, to get anything we want to get done before that window closes at a government level and the bureaucracy and the midterms are here. Right. So you have very little time to get anything done.
Yep.
You got to pay attention. You got to get up to speed. You got to get moving at a local level, because that's going to impact the state level, which eventually impacts the national level. But if you're doing the stuff right at the local level, the rest of it will actually take care of itself. But you got to get active.
And if things go awry, we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't.
You know, if we're going to survive, you and I, we need a bunch of yous
Yep.
to survive. Like, I mean, we need people that are like, okay, in the community, this is what's going on. And we know that we've got these people over here and these houses over there, and they're able to do X, Y, and Z. If you don't have that pre-mapped out, you can't wait till disaster happens. I mean, look at the people in Venezuela.
Yep.
And what they went through. Imagine if they had been prepared for Maduro and everything that went down over there. Like, I feel like that we need to be prepared as a country, because even if everything goes amazing, right? We should be prepared, period.
Oh, you should.
Right?
You are one black swan event or natural disaster away from everything being different. Just ask the people in North Carolina and California and Maui. Okay, ask them.
And now South Carolina.
And now South Carolina, which is on fire. Just ask them how everything can be going fine, and then in one fell swoop not be fine anymore. Anything happens, all economies instantly become local. So your community is only going to be as strong as your preparation with others, because the more people who are ready and have some level of stability, the less people are inclined to actually rob your house or do something bad to you. Because I'll tell you what, hungry and desperate people do hungry and desperate things, and you don't want that happening, because they'll go from friend to foe in a heartbeat. If you've ever ran into a pack of feral dogs who are hungry, you're on the menu.
Yep.
Wow. Action-packed, huh?
That's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to really understand and digest. I mean, when you have to look at what's being said, what's not being said, what's being implied, and how are we being maneuvered.
Yep.
And I feel like, the herd of cows just going into the funnel. We're just going into the funnel. Like, because people see that we're going into the funnel.
People get so blinded by, I'm too busy with life or whatever. Hey, Trump got in, everything's fixed. No, and no. And there's more responsibility for you as a believer, in particular being a watchman. You are held to a significantly higher standard than anybody else. And that's the role you took on when you needed a savior and you confessed it. That's your responsibility now.
What I love about Ezekiel 33 is basically, in summation, is once you hear our voice and say, hey, watchman, the sword is coming. You watchmen out there have an obligation now. You can't go, la, 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 I didn't hear. Like, it's too late. Too late. You already heard it. And Father made it that way because we are brothers and sisters, and we're supposed to be taking care of each other and loving each other and supporting and warning and making sure we're good, right, against the enemy. We're supposed to be connected and combined.
Yep.
I use this example a lot. If I may have your wrist.
Yes, sure.
A friend of mine, she raised my hand. She said, Julianna, is your hand ever going to get tired? And I thought, because your initial reaction would be yes, right? But if RC's holding up my hand, then I can relax and not get tired. And when then he gets tired, I can hold up his hand so he can relax and not be so tired. That's what it means to come together as a community of people to do the things that we need to do, uplift and support and undergird each other. It's the reason why RC and I created the Watchmen workbook.
Yep.
It's the reason why we did the whole Empowered to Act, which is behind RC's shoulder. I mean, all the work, our business, everything has been geared towards Father, who said, you need to go in this direction as watchmen and do these things to warn my people and get my people ready for what's about to happen. This is not a if it's going to happen, it's when is it going to happen.
Exactly.
And we need to be prepared for what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. I have no idea. Are we going to have a blackout? Could be, maybe not. Are we going to have a missile attack? Could be, maybe not. I have no idea. But whatever it is, I need to make sure that my people, my brothers and sisters, are okay. And that I have the tribe of people around me so that we can do the things that we need to do to be able to survive whatever may happen next.
Yep. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Whew.
I know.
Been action-packed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Man, listen, it's not all bad news, right? The good news is in the book. We all know that. We're believers, but it pays to read it because you need to be prepared for someone you're going to run into. As our friend Cameron McGill always says, you may be the only Bible some people ever read. What are they going to get from it?
That's right.
Okay. Make sure you get prepared, guys. So for everything we're doing, you can go to watchmanaction.org. We also encourage you, when you go to the site, to check out the Goldback store. So the team at Goldback is sponsoring Watchman Action to allow us to do what we need to do. And now we're set up as an official distributor of
Yeah.
gold backs. So you can get a free one from us and get a free half gold back if you go there. But if you'd like to buy, when you purchase from the Goldback store, 100% of the profits from that sale go back into Watchmen Action to help us go. So you get something out of the deal, and when you do it, you actually help the ministry to continue to grow. We always try to make it a win-win in these situations, so we want you to do that. And if you need supplies, by the way, if you go to nowgetprepared.com, you can get all your supplies there. Again, all the proceeds from those sales go to support Watchmen Action. We're doing everything we can to deliver value to you and to help grow the ministry.
Beautiful.
What a great one, guys. Thank you for joining us for this edition of We Are the Watchmen Weekly. For more on everything, go to watchmenaction.org. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Be blessed.